the shirt went along with him, and he landed on his back. He thought it was magic, I guess, and he got up and charged out of the blackness with a roar. But when he clamped his eyes on Slope again, he understood. The whole crowd that was gasping and enjoying this free fight, it could understand too. Because there was Slope with his shirt off, and if he could see his muscles working, you didn't have to see the working of his mind. The Slovak saw that he had started trouble with a combination of Texas mule, mountain lion, and grizzly bear. That's the best that I can think of for meanness, and the mule comes first. But that Slovak was game, all right. He stuck out his jaw, his teeth showing through the black mist of huge beard, and he came at Slope. But Slope wasn't where the Slovak expected to find him. He slammed at the air with both fists, from a good stance that showed he knew a lot about boxing, but Dugan was just naturally faster than an electric timer could catch. A cat's paw was slow compared with him. He stepped around and wound up behind the Slovak, lifted him up, and heaved him back through the doorway again. I kind of laughed and kind of groaned, and so did the whole crowd, because we had seen that Slope didn't know anything about boxing. His idea of putting the other fella out was to pick him up and sling him out of bounds. Only there weren't any bounds here, and Slope was too clean-hearted to rush in and take advantage of a man that was down. He just stood around and waited for the Slovak to get up and mix in again. Well, it made me laugh, but it made me mad, too. I mean, you can't take and juggle a whole piano crate full of exploding Slovak through an entire evening. You just give out, or the floor gives way under you. Back he came with his eyes red and blood spouting out from his nose that had bumped on the floor. And Slope stood there, thoughtful, but not working out a solution to the problem. There were two parts to that problem. The first was what to do with the Slovak. The second was how to keep his pants up. Slope had a length of machine belting or something around his hips by way of a belt, and when he lifted the Slovak the second time, that belt busted with a pop. Now Slope lingered around, using one hand to hold up the trousers and the other hand to stop the landslide. We howled. We all howled, because we didn't see how the thing could be done. But Slope stopped the next rush, all right. He just stepped between the Slovak's driving fists and put the flat of his hand on him and pushed him staggering backward. But I guess you can't keep a grizzly off with caresses, and the black-bearded Slovak came back. He was beginning to roar, and he was blowing the blood out of his beard in showers. This time, he landed a punch. It was a good, solid sock, and it whacked on the side of Slope's jaw. I kind of squinted. Then I opened my eyes to catch a sight of the big fellow as he sailed back through the air. But Slope wasn't sailing. No, sir, he was just standing there, a little bit puzzled, still holding up his pants and brushing aside the Slovak's two sledgehammers with his one hand. Just heading off the punches up in the air the way that a cat bats a ball of cotton around above its head. Well, you can't catch a whole shower of brickbats, and one of those punches slipped through again and banged Slope on the same side of his jaw, a little nearer the point. This time he sat down, and the Slovak rushed in, yelling blue murder, intending to finish things off. He oughtn't to have done that, not considering how far west it was. A little guy with a rod of blue revolver in his hand stepped out and said, "Back up, beautiful. You ain't hitting a gent that's down." The Slovak backed up and stood still, waving his elbows and roaring some more. I didn't understand his language, but there was a lot of it. I guessed that he was telling Slope to stand up and get killed. And Slope stood up all right. Maybe you've seen people that naturally get up on their feet, not touching the ground with either hand. People do things like that to show off in gymnasiums, but Slope done it free and easy. He just stood there and still kept one hand for his pants and the other in the air for a guard, just the flat of that second hand. "Damn your pants fighting your BVDs," yelled a big cowpuncher that looked half crazy because he was so excited. "The trouble is that I haven't any," said Slope, turning toward the cowpuncher. While the big fool's head was still turned, the Slovak took a run, a jump, and a half-turn and slammed Slope right on the button again. I thought that even India rubber would break.